And hundreds of demonstrators are expected at a mass rally in Pettifer later in a bid to save Appledore Shipyard. Fears are growing about the future of Appledore, which employs 200 workers after reports the owners, engineering giant Babcock International, is poised to shut the 163-year-old shipyard. It recently failed to win a contract with Malta, and many of the workforce have been temporarily transferred to Devonport. So the government's being urged to help, and joining me now on the line is Heathcliffe Pettifer, Regional Officer from the Unite Union. Good morning, Heathcliffe.
Good morning, Caroline.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Heathcliffe, do you still think that Babcock wants to shut the yard?
Well, there's a huge amount of speculation and concern, and obviously a lot of the stuff we've been reading in the press over the last week or two hasn't helped. It's fueled that concern, that real concern, locally in the community about the long-term future of the shipyard. And I've been asking for a long time now, along with my colleague officers from the GMB and the CSEU, for the government and Babcock to have a grown-up conversation about the future of Appledore.
And what would the job losses mean to the area?
Well, it's hard to imagine, really. I mean, it would be devastating. I think, the shipyard is, there's a community built around the shipyard. There's a thriving community, a local business community that relies on the shipyard. And, we've done some research from Unite the Union in respect of the multiplier effect, and a pound that's earned in Appledore Shipyard is worth approximately £3 in the economy. So that's going to affect, if the shipyard was to close, it wouldn't just affect those poor workers that are based in Appledore and their families. It's going to affect all sorts of different businesses, from the chip shop to the paper shop to the pub to the hairdressers. And it's just hard to put your finger on that and imagine what that would be like.
Oh, dear, indeed, yes. And can staff be permanently redeployed to Devonport?
Well, we've, as I say, along with the GMB, we negotiated a mobility agreement that ensured the short-term future for the workers in terms of their employability, at least until Christmas. So they're transported from Appledore to Devonport every day, or they've taken up residence in Plymouth and they're working in Devonport. And that's really good. That's fantastic. But in some respects, it's not surprising, because what we've got is undoubtedly the most skilled and flexible workforce in Appledore Shipyard in the country, probably in Europe. And Babcock would want to keep hold of that. That's the best and biggest resource they've got. So that, in some respects, that doesn't surprise me. They'd go to those lengths to keep hold of the workforce. But what we've really got to do is secure the future for the yard. We've got to get more work coming in, and that's something that only Babcock and the government can sit down and thrash out.
So if you were in front of the government, what is it you'd be asking them and lobbying them to do?
Well, I mean, the irony here is that there are contracts, government contracts. There's Type 31 frigates, and there are fleet solid support ships, which are effectively Royal Fleet auxiliary ships that the government want to place in the name of fair trade and competition. They unbelievably stopped Babcock from tendering for this work, because they were the only people that were in the race, and they opened it up for worldwide competition, which is hard to believe. I mean, and particularly in a post-Brexit situation, could you have ever imagined that? The government would say, we've got ships we need to be built for our navy, but we're not going to place them in a shipyard that needs the work. We're going to open it up for worldwide competition. Unbelievable. And I think, look, this isn't just about the government. Babcock need to get their act together. There's been a report that was released within the last week or so, called the Boatman Report, that was quite damning about Babcock and their behaviour and activities. So we just need to cut through all of that and have a grown-up conversation about what really matters, which is those workers and their families and the community in Appledore and North Devon.
Thank you very much, Heathcliffe, for joining us. That is Heathcliffe Pettifer, Regional Officer from Unite. And we should say that we did speak to Babcock, and in a statement Babcock told us we're in the final stages of successfully delivering the 4th offshore patrol vessel for the Irish Naval Service. As that programme comes to an end, we're reviewing the options for our business at Appledore.